Previously on this YouTube channel.
What I'm gonna do is actually make 15 gallons of wort. Then I'm gonna split it up into a 10-gallon batch, which I'm just gonna leave to be the normal wet hop IPA. And then for 5 gallons, I'm gonna add grapefruit juice because I can't help myself. That's all the grain. I'm going to sparge this with the water from here. There's about 5 gallons in here. As you can see, there are bugs in hops. So I'm definitely gonna wash these first. So the thing about wet hops is you have to use 5 times as many as you would pellet. I'm gonna add the grapefruit rind to this bag, dropping it right in there. Hey guys, welcome back. The wet hop beer is finally ready to try. I haven't had a wet hop beer in probably 3 years somehow. It's because I just haven't made it up to Washington in the right time. So the background on this beer is I literally picked the hops off my vines and threw them into the beer. That's what a wet hop beer is. It just means that you're using fresh hops. You can only make them certain times of year, like right around your hop harvest, which is usually like August, September, but my hops were really late this year, so I did it like beginning of October. And it's almost Halloween now, and which is why I'm dressed like a pumpkin spice latte. So because wet hop beers are pretty rare, especially if you're in Southern California or anywhere that's not a hop growing region, I'm going to send some of my friends these, and I wanted to show you guys this shipping system that actually, if you're nervous about shipping bottles, like this is the solution for you. These are called crafty shippers, and they just kind of fit a bottle, close up, and they fit perfectly in boxes, like your standard size FedEx boxes or whatever. So these are called crafty shippers, and you can get them at craftyshipping.com, and the company's actually like based down the street from me, so check them out. So let's give them a try. I don't think they're fully carbonated just by the way they're pouring. I ran out of CO2 because I had a leak in a keg, and so I'm using a little tank that's not really hooked up right. But it's got enough carbonation that we can get an idea. So I have 2 versions of this beer. So the first version is just your standard wet hop pale ale. It's got Centennial, Cascade, and Chinook in it. And the second one is the exact same, but I added grapefruit zest and juice. So let's just grapefruit beers always just kind of taste like grapefruit, so whatever. I just like grapefruit beer, so I like to make them when I can. Here, let's see if I can get some head on it. No, it doesn't want to cooperate. Ooh, it does smell good though. So this is the standard one. It's pretty hazy, but the way I've been carbonating it is just pushing CO2 through the liquid post. So it's probably got some yeast in suspension, whatever. It'll probably drop out, not be this hazy soon, and be relatively clear, but I didn't fine it at all, so it might just stay this way forever. The aroma it's pretty floral, but it's got like a fruity tangerine rind vibe. A little lime leaf I'm getting, maybe some lemongrass, like super tropical. But yeah, like tangerine lime is definitely the vibe of this aroma. Holy crap, that's good. I wish you could have hops so you could have some beer. Wow. I'm honestly like shocked how good it is. I was expecting something very grassy, but not getting that at all. It is sweet. The IBUs were low. I think there were 25 IBUs in this, which is pretty low for a pale ale, especially low for an IPA. I thought I was gonna make an IPA. Turns out I didn't have enough hops for it, and apparently dry hopping's a little iffy with the fresh hops. They are antimicrobial. However, like there was like literal bugs crawling out of my hops if you saw the last video, so I don't know if I trust it. So there's no dry hop in this. It's all just boil hops. The flavor, the tangerine really carries through. It's just a pretty mild pale ale with like a lot of tropical flavor. And I'm actually glad I did some grapefruit with this because it seems like it'll pair super well and just be kind of like a fruit cocktail. Though Gary Goldman does say that grapefruit always fucks up a fruit cocktail. If you haven't seen Gary Goldman's Grapefruit of Wrath stand up, look up here. I'll link it because it's one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm just really impressed at how well this turned out. This like actually kind of tastes like an IPA to me, more so than your standard pale ale. I feel like pale ales are typically a little more bitter than I make them. Like if you think of a Sierra Nevada pale ale, that's pretty on the bitter side compared to like even some of your like hazy IPAs. Hazy IPAs I think typically will have a lower IBU than a lot of pale ales. So, I mean, we can just call it a hazy IPA and call it a day. But yeah, this so fruity, so delicious. And it's funny that to get such a fruity beer, I just use like your standard C hops, Chinook, Cascade, Centennial. Like those are the classic IPA hops, West Coast style typically, but that's not what you would use if you were trying to go for a fruity beer necessarily. Like Cascade for sure, it's got a tangerine vibe, but you know, I would never think to use a Chinook or Centennial as like a fruity hop beer hop. Anyway, let's move on to the grapefruit. It smells like grapefruit. Novel. Obviously it smells like grapefruit. The grapefruits I used in this were actually like kind of past their prime. They were not very sweet at all. They're the kind of like the yellow grapefruits that a lot of people grow in the South versus your ruby red or whatever. I believe they call them pink grapefruit, but like they're yellow, they're not pink. Anyway. Ooh, that's good grapefruit beer. The grapefruit's really mellow, and you know how sometimes you get a really bitter bite from grapefruit? This does not have it. It's almost like if you could take a grapefruit and remove any bitterness from it. It's just that very vibrant, tropical juice flavor. Like when you drink a glass of grapefruit juice, the first flavor that hits you before it becomes bitter, that's what this tastes like. It is absolutely delightful. I wish I would have made more of it. I only made 5 gallons of this one. Man. The mouthfeel on these are both pretty smooth. You know, I wouldn't call it like a thick mouthfeel. It's kind of in between. It's very just kind of middle of the road. So the grapefruit one is definitely drier. It's making my mouth water versus the standard one. It's kind of more in line with a typical pale ale. Kind of medium body, not overly thick and sweet, but also not on the dry end. It's got a medium amount of sweetness, which is like, how do you describe what medium is, you know? But that's what I'm gonna say about it. You guys should make this beer. Honestly, I think this might be my favorite beer I've ever made, which is kind of crazy, but I've been struggling to make what I would consider a good IPA for a long time, and I think I finally hit it. So I'm gonna probably remake this beer with pellets and see how it turns out that way. And I don't know, maybe it's the freshness of the hops that made it so good. Maybe it's the just whatever malts I put in it, but I think I just used my regular pale ale recipe, which is usually some Pilsner 2-row, a little bit of caramel malt, and sometimes a little wheat if I feel like it. And, you know, I try to keep it simple because that way you can really test other ingredients. The yeast I used in this is what I like to use for a lot of my pale ales. It's the SO4 English Ale yeast by Le Monde. It's a dry packet. You get a lot of bang for your buck out of those. And I've pretty much been doing most of my pale ales with that lately, and it's just giving a really great flavor. I think it retains a lot of the sweetness versus more of a West Coast California ale yeast, which would dry out a lot more. Well, I'm gonna call this a success. Thanks for sticking around. I don't know where my dog went. She gave up because she's not able to drink the beer. Hops are bad for dogs, just FYI, PSA. Thanks so much for joining. Like and subscribe if you like, and I will see you guys next time.